art is life. I don't see any difference between life and by life I mean experiencing life, being aware of every moment, the beauty of every moment, and seeing the positive energy that is all around us. We're surrounded by positive energy if we're open to it. I see art as something that distills that energy and spreads it out to people. There's too much happening in this world which is ugly and which is, I would say, destructive. But I really feel that the role of art should be able to absorb all the negativity, to be able to absorb and give out something positive to the world, to heal the world. That's how I see the role of art. An artist, I think, really has a tremendous responsibility because he's the conscience of society. I think he's the one who keeps, who's aware of what is happening in the world and what is happening all around him. Um, and his role is really to not let anything not let anything overpower that feeling of being really the conscience. He shouldn't get swayed by money or power or anything. I think he has to be above all true to himself and true to what he wants to say, he or she wants to say in this world, or what they want to create in this world. And if you're totally honest and totally open and you let your bare your soul to the world, where you have nothing to hide, you have absolutely nothing to hide, and you make your own space, your own sacred space, shared with everyone. I think that is beautiful. I'm fit to advise people. I can only share my thoughts, and I can't really be a guru advising people. I don't envision myself as that, but I can share my experience, and I can only say that for the young, they should be honest to themselves. They should really create what they truly feel and not be swept by trends and fashion and anything. If they feel something strongly, they should express it with their full power, vitality, intention. Is very hard work, and that they should not shy away from working hard. Nothing comes easy in life, so it's a big struggle, and enjoy the journey. My intention is creating the space was like an island of peace. Shambhala is what I call it, and I call it tranquility amongst chaos. Shambhala is the place of hope, of uh, where you see the beauty of life in its purity. It's a place to reflect. It's a place to be conscious of the beauty around us, and that I hope that in this space, whoever the visitor is, whoever is coming, seeing all that activity around and this art fair, will find a little peace, a little where you can just relax and just reflect on what life is about. really non-duality, where the negative and the positive, the nebulous and the steadfast, the dark and the light, the silence and the noise, they're all one. There is no difference between the mind and the body, and between the large and the small. So these works are on a micro level, and some of the other works you see the same thing on a macro level, because I feel like thousands of cells in our body, they're very, very tiny. At the same time, the galaxies and each star expands that space. So the larger image is the cosmos, and the smaller image is here and now. That's the thought behind these works. This work, which I call the Silent Eternity, this is about the silent sermon of Buddha, and there were all these acolytes sitting waiting for him to speak, and he didn't say a word. He just twirled the flower, and nobody could understand what he meant. So they were all very surprised, and they were waiting for him to speak. Only Mahakashyapa, who was one of his disciples, smiled, and that moment there was a mind-to-mind transmission of all Buddha stood for to Mahakashyapa. He gave him everything that he was to Mahakashyapa. It was transmitted, because no wisdom and no thing of value can really be spoken about, cannot be written about, because the words can be interpreted in many different ways. So I think we should be very careful with written text, and that's, I think, also part of the problem with the world, because we say the holy book says this, and this volume says this volume says that, and it's really how we are interpreting that, and which creates all the problems in the world. So he wanted to be very, very sure that this same problem doesn't come through. That's why there was a mind-to-mind transmission. So I have expressed that this is the twirling of the flower, and these are hundreds of Buddhas around to show his omnipresence throughout the universe. Now, when I say Buddha, it doesn't mean Buddha, the figure, the person as the Shakyamuni Buddha. It could be any divinity. It could be, for me, Buddha is a symbol of purity. And it could be any religion, or it could be no religion at all. It's beyond. That's what my whole work is about, to go beyond religion into spirituality. So Buddha for me is a pure spirit, a pure energy. And the same thing, now you see these works on the macro level, what I was telling you about the smaller works. Now here we have the same work on a micro and the macro level. Now this work, this is meditation on a mandala. I would say very intense spiritual experience I had in Sikkim. So for many years, I would say 3-4 years, I was emptying out form from my works. I was emptying out. I wanted to arrive at just white on the canvas and no form at all. So to arrive at that shunya, which is full of energy, it's not just an empty space. It contains the whole cosmos within that. So I was drawing the enso, the Japanese empty circle with black ink, with sumi ink, and I would sit every morning and I would draw a circle on the floor. I must have done it 3,000-4,000 times, and I wasn't happy with any of them, because they lack the power, the vitality. So I destroyed them all, and I was very disappointed. And then I thought, let me go for some inspiration to Rumtek Monastery in Sikkim. So I went there, and that was a beautiful day. I had absolutely, at that time I had no responsibility. I wasn't married, I didn't have a child, and I was like totally carefree. So I took a taxi and I set out for the mountains. And the taxi driver didn't have any brakes, he didn't have any wipers, and he would shut off his engine going downhill to save petrol. So there I was, and it was a beautiful, cloudy, misty day, and we went up, and finally we arrived at the monastery, and I had no desire to go into the monastery. So I went to the edge of the mountain, and it was a steep drop, and there was a valley below which had all this beautiful, almost a biblical light coming through the clouds. And it was almost as if God said, let there be light, and there was light. And it was a fantastic experience. For me, it was like a Satori experience. And I was, at that point, I was totally porous. All the elements were going through me. I didn't exist. And I don't know how long I stood there, maybe half an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe 5 minutes, I have no clue. I was in another zone at all. And I did, in that moment, I got the brush and I did one stroke. And that was the most perfect thing I think I ever did. So my overwhelming desire was to jump off the cliff in total ecstasy and go down to the valley into the arms of Buddha. But I think there was an urchin next to me, and he said, monastery is there, come and see that. I had no desire to go to the monastery. I felt so complete and ecstatic. So I let that, I didn't jump off happily or unhappily, and I let that drawing, according to me, the most perfect thing I ever did, as an offering to Buddha, and I let it go down into the clouds. And I was then walked slowly back to the monastery, and I stood in the doorway. I didn't want to enter because the monastery was dark and somber, and the colors were like these hot blood and deep red, and on the walls were thousands of gilded images of Buddha, and the center was a large, huge icon of Buddha. And I stood there and I was just wondering, how does it relate to my work? I've experienced silence. I've been the center of shunya in a wide space. I was surrounded by that. What I was searching intellectually, I actually experienced. And then something beautiful happened. The old Lama, he got up with the oil lamp and he did an aarti. He did this movement. And that instant, all the Buddhas reflected, they formed the circle, the same empty Zen circle, which I have been looking for. So that moment I realized that emptiness and fullness are one, through experience, not intellectually. And that was a turning point in my life. So this is a homage to that. So there is no duality. There is the movement. It's about movement. It's about silence. It's about the negative and the positive all merging, and it's the opposing forces, when they merge and they form a unity, that's where the Buddha is. In that space, in that interval is where Buddha resides. So these works are all about